Hi guys, this is Robin for Meta Skills, and in this video I want to show you the basics of visual practice, how to learn better, how to express yourself, and to really become hyper creative. So I am super excited to share the visual practice basics with you because that skill opened so many doors for me, and I'm sure it can change your life as well if you really start applying the skill. And I actually just learned that about 4 years ago when I saw other people doing it in workshops and conferences, doing drawings and graphic recordings. And I was kind of thinking, maybe I should start practicing that as well. It kind of makes sense. So I started drawing, but eventually that just became my biggest passion, and I'm now a professional visual practitioner, which is already the first insight that I want to transmit to you, that really everybody can learn it. It's not a matter of talent. You don't have to be an artist. It's just a matter of practice. And I want to show you one simple practice how to get started right now. Because that skill helps you to do so many things. First of all, it helps you to learn better and faster. So that was one of the first ways that I used visualization for. Still being in university, sitting in those boring lectures, I could finally make sense of all of the information and just started drawing in class and had a lot of fun practicing the skill. But also in the end, I could recall information way better because our brains are just wired to take in information visually. And I could kind of see the bigger picture of subjects interrelating and just became a really effective student without a lot of effort. And then when I exited university and I started working, that skill really helped me to express myself. So the boring lectures kind of turned into boring meetings, but I was still the one drawing out ideas, and people just noticed me and asked me to do that more and more often on flip charts, helping them facilitating workshops, helping them with their presentations, adding little sketches here and there. And I just became more visible in the workforce and also on social media. And nowadays, I'm having my own business as a graphic recorder and visual facilitator. And I'm going to big conferences to just do something that I love. And lastly, this skill also helps you to become hyper creative. I think this is one of the biggest superpowers because once you start drawing out ideas, your mind kind of enters into creative mode and you see all of your ideas evolving in front of you, even vague ideas connect to others, and it just makes so much more sense to see your creative process. And once that step is done, you're kind of unstoppable because the first step is done and you can just start applying what you dreamt of. So visualizing helped me to fulfill myself a lot of dreams, like starting my own business, finding my purpose, and also doing this video channel now. And I want to show you one simple technique that you can use to get started right now. So I have designed a simple method that I call the WIS-Technique to start mastering the basics, because that's really the way to learn anything. Just kind of find the most important elements and start practicing those. And for visual practice, I have found that there are three elements that are composed into this acronym WIS, standing for writing, images, and structure. So if you just start learning and practicing those three elements, I swear you will become a really effective visual practitioner. But this can also be seen as a procedure, a process for starting a visual. So the first step in everything you do is writing. And that's good news because you don't really have to learn anything new. You just add the most important keywords on your paper, maybe in a mind map way, and marking them down. And the information, of course, the writing is the most important part because you want to capture information essentially. And then in the second step, you can add some images to the text. And they can be really simple icons, little sketches here and there. They don't have to be perfect or beautiful, but they do something really powerful. They start letting your mind think visually, holistically, and it transforms a boring linear text into something more creative. Those images, however, can be really overwhelming. And that's why you want to add some structure as a last step. And for that, you can use color. So far, you can just use black as an outline, but in the end, and that can also happen after you've done the visual, you can add some colors here and there to mark down the most important things, maybe add some shading here and there. And I want to show you this technique more detailed so you can really start learning that. And I have also attached a worksheet on my blog post that you can download to get started with those three elements. So let me show you this process again in more detail. You can actually just pull out a piece of paper and start adding some lines onto that. Those lines can guide your writing. Once you have those lines, choose a keyword that you want to journal about and write it in the middle. For my case, I have chosen the word visual practice. And then just find a few words related to that. So I have chosen learning, materials, application, and goals, just to have some words to practice. And you can see how I used neat and clean text and how I also was guided by the lines that I drew before. So once you have that, you can add some simple icons to match your words. I have chosen an eye for visual practice. I drew a pen and paper for materials. And I used a brain to represent learning. And notice how those images are quite simple. They don't have to be abstract, and you will become more and more used to draw little symbols. But this can be a nice way to start. And for application, I have used a person. They are always great to draw because they make your image also more personal. And lastly, for goals, I've chosen an arrow representing goals. So now you can already see how we transformed our image into something more alive. And the last step is to just use some colors to really give some structures to the image. So you can highlight your keywords and you can use another color to kind of group objects together and to add some shading here and there to make your images also more three-dimensional. So you could use this technique right now to get started. Just pull out a piece of paper and repeat the 3 steps that I showed you to really build your visual vocabulary, because it is the most important step to just get started. Once that is done, everything will fall into place. It's such an easy skill to integrate into your life because you really don't have to find extra time practicing. You can just bring your materials to work, to school, to university, wherever, and start sketching on the side. And I'm sure if you do that, you will have some visual superpowers coming up as well and really start living your creative potential. So start sketching. And I want to give you 3 last advices to get your journey started. First one is get some nice materials. Go to a shop, get some pens you like and a sketchbook, and just drag them around wherever you go. Then you could maybe create your visual vocabulary, repeat the technique that I showed you to just build up some habit of writing and drawing and find symbols that come up a lot for you. It's really just like learning a new language. Once you start speaking it, doing it, you will get used to it. And the last one is to find fields of practice. So just think, where in your life could you be using visual practice? It could be in work, at school, in university. Just be creative and find ways to, use sketchnoting in your life. So that was my essential meta skill on visual practice basics. So if you liked it and you actually want to get started, click the link below to find my blog post where you can read more about the subject and also find some resources, and the visual worksheet that I have designed, which provides a summary over this talk, but also a guiding principle worksheet on visual practice. And of course, please subscribe to my channel down here because that really helps me to get going, and it will also provide you with more videos that I'm shooting in the future, which will be all about meta skills and personal practices that you can use to become more effective as a change maker.